Mail-order bride took her sister's place and built a life the letter never promised. The transport ship shuddered as it entered the thin atmosphere of Red Mesa. Outside the viewport, the landscape stretched endlessly, a mixture of red rock canyons, dusty plains, and strange floating rocks that glimmered faintly under the twin moons. Lena gripped the strap of her bag, her stomach tight with nervousness. She had come all this way from Earth, leaving everything familiar behind. She was not supposed to come alone. This trip was meant for her sister, but the letter had asked for a bride and her sister had chosen her instead. Her heart thumped. She could not help feeling guilty. She had taken her sister's place, and now she would have to live a life that was not meant for her. The thought made her chest ache, but she forced herself to stand tall. There was no turning back now. She had a choice: run back to Earth or face the new life waiting for her. Lena wanted to be brave. She had always imagined herself strong, but the truth was she had never been tested like this before. The ship's landing gears groaned as it touched the red, rocky soil. Dust clouds rose around the craft, and Lena shielded her eyes. Outside, a group of riders waited. They wore wide-brimmed hats and long coats, but unlike the cowboys she had read about in old books, their gear had lights, sensors, and metallic accents that reflected the weak sun. One man stepped forward, the dust swirling around his boots. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone used to danger. "Lena?" the man asked, his voice calm but firm. His eyes were sharp, almost calculating, and his left arm gleamed with a faint silver, clearly a cybernetic replacement. Lena swallowed. "Yes," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm Kane Ryder," he said, holding out a hand. She shook it, noting the firm grip. Kane's expression softened slightly, but his eyes remained cautious. "You're not exactly what I expected from a letter." Lena forced a small smile. "I hope that's a good thing." Kane did not reply, instead nodding toward the transport ship. "Let's get your things and move to the ranch. You'll need to learn quickly here. Red Mesa isn't kind to the weak." Lena followed him, stepping onto the uneven terrain. She stumbled slightly, unused to the planet's gravity. It was lighter than Earth's, and her body felt strange, almost buoyant with each step. Around her, the ranch stretched across a valley of red soil, dotted with hovering drones that guided robotic cattle and guarded fences that emitted soft electric pulses. In the distance, a small cluster of buildings sat against a cliff face, their metallic walls glinting. This was to be her new home. As they walked, Kane spoke little, but Lena observed everything. She noticed the careful way he moved, his eyes scanning the horizon constantly. He clearly trusted no one, and that made Lena nervous. Would he accept her? Or would she always be an outsider? When they reached the main building, Lena set her bag down and looked around. The interior was simple but efficient. Holographic screens floated over desks, showing maps of the ranch and nearby terrain. Machines hummed softly, and she caught sight of Jax, the ranch's AI assistant, who appeared as a small floating orb with a bright blue light. It hovered near a doorway, observing her silently. "Jax will help you," Kane said, noticing her gaze. "Listen to it. Learn fast." "There's no time to waste." Lena nodded. She wanted to show Kane that she could be useful, but first she had to survive the day. Outside, the sun dipped low behind the cliffs, casting long shadows across the plains. Kane handed her a wide-brimmed hat and a coat, heavier than she expected. "You'll need this for the ride," he said, "and don't fall off the hoverhorse." Hoverhorse. Lena's heart skipped. She had read about them, but seeing one in person was different. The animal glided over the ground, its hooves leaving faint sparks as it hovered inches above the soil. Its mane shimmered slightly under the light, and it snorted, releasing a puff of warm air that smelled faintly metallic. Lena approached it cautiously. "This one's yours," Kane said. "Name it if you want, but don't treat it like a pet. It's a tool, and tools can be dangerous if you misuse them." Lena swallowed her fear. She reached out, letting her hand brush the hoverhorse's sleek side. It shifted its weight slightly but did not flinch. "I'll call you Ember," she whispered. The animal snorted again, as if approving. Kane gave a short nod. "Mount up, we'll check the perimeter before dark." The ride was harder than Lena imagined. She clutched the reins as Ember glided over rocks and uneven soil, feeling the thrill and fear of moving so quickly across alien land. Kane rode beside her, his cybernetic arm adjusting sensors and scanning for threats. Lena realized how isolated this planet could be. Predators, rogue miners, and rival ranchers could strike at any moment. Survival depended on skill, awareness, and courage. After hours of riding, they returned to the ranch just as the sky darkened. The twin moons of Red Mesa rose, casting a silver glow over the plains. Lena dismounted, her muscles sore but her heart racing with excitement. For the first time, she felt alive. She had faced something new, something frightening, and she had survived. That night, Lena sat by the small fire outside the ranch house. Kane had gone inside to check equipment, leaving her alone with the crackling flames and the hum of drones above. She thought of her sister and the letter that had started this journey. The letter had promised a quiet life, a simple existence with a husband she barely knew. But this life, dangerous, beautiful, and full of unknowns, was far different. She felt a pang of guilt again. What would her sister think if she knew? But deep down, Lena realized she was beginning to love this strange, harsh world. She loved the freedom, the danger, the need to be strong. And perhaps most of all, she was beginning to admire Kane, even if he did not yet trust her. The next morning brought new challenges. A sudden sandstorm swept across the plains, reducing visibility to almost nothing. Lena clutched Ember's reins, trying to keep the hoverhorse steady as Kane guided them to a safe shelter. Lightning crackled in the distance, and rocks shifted under the force of the wind. Lena realized that life on Red Mesa would test her in ways Earth never had. She would have to be smart, quick, and brave. By the time the storm passed, Lena was exhausted but exhilarated. Kane watched her silently, but she could see a flicker of respect in his eyes. He did not say it, but Lena felt it. Perhaps she was more capable than he had imagined. As they returned to the ranch, a small group of robotic cattle had wandered close to the cliffs, confused by the storm. Lena acted instinctively, guiding them back with Ember and a small drone. Kane helped, but he allowed her to take the lead, watching closely as she managed the situation. For the first time, Lena felt that she was not just a visitor on Red Mesa. She was becoming part of it. That night, Lena wrote a short message to her sister, careful to leave out the challenges and dangers. She wanted her sister to know she was alive and well, but she also wanted to keep some things private. This was her story now, her life, her adventure. As she drifted to sleep, Lena thought of the moons above and the endless plains that awaited her. She did not know what the future held, but she was ready to face it. She had taken her sister's place, yes, but she was determined to make it her own. The letter may not have promised this life, but Lena knew one thing for certain. She would survive, and she would thrive, in ways no letter could ever imagine. The fire crackled softly, Ember lay nearby, and the ranch hummed with quiet life. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more lessons, and perhaps a deeper understanding of this harsh, beautiful world. Lena closed her eyes, ready for the adventure that awaited her on Red Mesa, the planet where a mail-order bride might just become a hero. The next morning, Red Mesa welcomed Lena with a sky painted in shades of orange and purple. Dust swirled lazily across the plains, and the twin moons of the previous night still lingered faintly in the sky, giving the horizon an almost magical glow. Lena stretched and yawned, her muscles sore from the day before, but a spark of excitement ran through her. Today, Kane said, she would learn more about life on the ranch. Kane stood outside the main building, arms crossed, watching as Lena approached. His coat flapped lightly in the breeze, and the cybernetic arm glinted in the morning light. "Ready?" he asked. Lena nodded. "I think so." "Good," he said. "We start with something simple, checking the perimeter." It was not simple. Red Mesa was a wild place, and even the safest areas could hide danger. Hoverhorses trotted lightly over uneven terrain, their engines humming softly. Lena followed Kane, keeping her grip tight on Ember's reins. They moved along the ridge, overlooking the plains below. Robotic cattle grazed in neat, glowing pens, their sensors blinking as drones flew overhead. "Pay attention to the land," Kane said quietly. "Every rock, every shadow, every shift in the wind can tell you something. You're not just watching for animals, you're watching for threats. People, creatures, anything that shouldn't be here." Lena nodded, trying to focus. Her eyes darted across the valley. The plains seemed peaceful, but she could sense Kane's caution. She realized that life on Red Mesa was not just about work, it was about survival. They rode for hours, Lena learning to control Ember with more confidence. She could feel the hoverhorse responding to her movements, shifting its weight over the rocky ground. Kane occasionally corrected her grip or adjusted her posture, but he let her take the lead in navigating the terrain. By mid-morning, Kane stopped at a cluster of rocks overlooking a narrow canyon. "This area is tricky," he said. "Bandits have tried to sneak through here before. Keep your eyes open." Lena squinted into the canyon. It looked empty, but the shadows shifted strangely. She felt her pulse quicken. "What do I do if someone shows up?" she asked. Kane studied her. "You stay calm, you use your head, don't run. The land favors those who understand it. And remember, you're not alone. Trust the tools around you." He gestured to a small drone hovering nearby. Lena realized that she had to learn to rely not just on herself, but on technology too. She had never imagined managing robotic cattle or AI systems in her life, but here she was, living it. The day passed in a blur of lessons. Lena learned how to operate the energy lassos that guided robotic cattle, how to read the signs of shifting sandstorms, and how to repair small drones that had malfunctioned. Kane watched her silently, occasionally offering advice but mostly allowing her to learn through experience. Lena felt both exhausted and exhilarated. Every small success built her confidence, and every mistake taught her something new. During a break, Lena sat on a rock, drinking water from a metal flask. Kane joined her, handing her a small packet of dried food. "You're learning fast," he said. "Most newcomers would have given up by now." Lena smiled faintly. "I want to make this work. I don't want to just survive, I want to help." Kane's eyes softened briefly. "That's good, you'll need that attitude. This land doesn't forgive the careless." Later, as the sun dipped toward the horizon, a sudden alarm blared from the ranch. Lena's heart leapt. Kane's eyes narrowed. "Mercenaries," he muttered, and he grabbed his energy rifle. Lena's mind raced. She had only seen combat drills before, nothing real. But instinct took over. She grabbed a drone, sending it to hover above the approaching figures. Its sensors scanned the area, detecting heat signatures and movement. Lena guided the drone toward the enemy, creating a distraction. The mercenaries hesitated, unsure of the sudden technological interference. Kane used the moment to approach strategically, his rifle ready. Lena's heart pounded, but she felt a strange thrill. This was dangerous, yes, but she was helping, contributing. Using Ember, she maneuvered between rocks and valleys, her hoverhorse responding to her every command. She guided the drones to block paths, her mind racing as she coordinated movements with Kane. It was chaotic, but somehow it worked. The mercenaries, frustrated and disoriented, retreated into the canyon, leaving the ranch unharmed. Kane lowered his rifle, breathing heavily. "Not bad," he said, glancing at Lena. "You kept your head." Lena's chest swelled with pride. I just did what I could," she said. Kane gave a short nod. "That's more than most would manage. You might actually belong here." For the first time, Lena felt truly accepted. She had faced real danger and survived. She had earned Kane's respect and perhaps a small piece of trust. The evening brought quiet. Lena tended to Ember, brushing its sleek mane while Kane checked the perimeter one last time. The twin moons rose again, casting long silver shadows across the plains. Lena watched them, feeling the weight of the day settle in her bones. She was tired, yes, but she also felt a deep satisfaction. Kane approached, handing her a small tablet. "Study this tonight," he said. "It shows energy flow, cattle movement, and drone patterns. You'll need to understand it if you're going to help manage the ranch effectively." Lena accepted it, nodding. "I will." Kane paused, looking at her. "You know," he said quietly, "this life isn't easy. It's not the letter your sister sent, and it's not what you expected, but it's real, and if you can survive it, you'll be stronger than you ever imagined." Lena looked at him, surprised by the rare warmth in his voice. "I think I want to try," she said. Kane gave a faint nod and turned back toward the ranch house. Lena watched him go, then turned her gaze back to the horizon. She felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. She had taken her sister's place, yes, but she was starting to feel like this life, rugged, dangerous, and alien, was becoming her own. Night fell and the plains became quiet. Lena sat outside the ranch house, reviewing the tablet. She studied cattle movement patterns, drone behavior, and the terrain surrounding the ranch. Her mind worked through possibilities, scenarios, and strategies. She realized that survival here required not just courage, but knowledge. Every day would teach her something new. She glanced at Ember, who grazed nearby, its sensors softly blinking in the dark. The hoverhorse had become more than a tool. It was a companion, a part of her new life. She felt a small smile tug at her lips. Maybe this life was not what the letter promised, but it was real. And she could make it hers. As she prepared to sleep, Lena thought about Kane. He was stern, cautious, and sometimes distant, but she had glimpsed a side of him today that showed he could trust, if only a little. She wanted to prove herself not just to him, but to herself. Tomorrow she would continue learning, continue helping, and continue surviving. She did not know what challenges lay ahead. Red Mesa was unpredictable, but she felt ready. She had faced storms, mercenaries, and unfamiliar technology. She had faced fear and uncertainty, and she had come through. The twin moons shone brightly overhead, casting a silver glow over the ranch. Lena closed her eyes, feeling the wind on her face and the hum of drones in the distance. She was not just a visitor on Red Mesa anymore. She was part of it slowly but surely. The life promised in the letter had been simple, almost naive. But the life Lena was building for herself, full of challenge, adventure, and growth, was far more real. And for the first time, she felt that maybe, just maybe, she was exactly where she was meant to be. The morning sun rose slowly over Red Mesa, painting the cliffs in shades of gold and red. Lena stretched her arms, feeling the soreness from yesterday's ride, the storms, and the unexpected skirmish with the mercenaries. She had learned quickly, but every day on this alien frontier felt like a test. Kane appeared at the doorway of the ranch house, his cybernetic arm glinting in the early light. He looked serious today, his expression unreadable. "We need to talk," he said, his voice low but firm. Lena's stomach tightened. She wondered if he had discovered her secret, the reason she had come in her sister's place. They walked to the ridge overlooking the plains. The twin moons still lingered faintly in the sky, giving a soft glow to the rocks. Lena tried to meet his gaze, but Kane's eyes were steady, focused, almost distant. "Lena," he began, "I heard something about your sister. Why did you come here instead of her?" Lena's throat tightened. She had feared this moment. "My sister, she couldn't make it," she said softly. "She had reasons. She asked me to go in her place." Kane's jaw tightened and his eyes narrowed slightly. "So you lied to me," he said. "You pretended to be her." Lena felt her heart sink. "I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to hurt you, but if I didn't come, she would have lost everything. I thought I could help. I didn't know how else to fix it." Kane was silent for a moment. He stared out at the plains, his expression hard to read. "You put yourself in this position. You risked more than you realize," he said finally. "But you didn't run, you faced it. You survived yesterday's attack and handled yourself better than most newcomers." Lena blinked, unsure of how to react. Kane's words were harsh but tempered with a hint of respect. She had feared anger or rejection, but instead there was acknowledgement. "We can't change what happened," Kane said, "but you'll need to be honest from now on. I don't tolerate deception." "I understand," Lena whispered. Kane gave a brief nod, then turned his attention to the horizon. "There's a bigger problem. Follow me." They rode in silence across the plains. Lena noticed the distant shimmer of light on the horizon, too organized to be natural. As they drew closer, she realized it was a group of alien poachers, equipped with energy weapons and mining drones, digging near the edge of the ranch's property. Kane's eyes narrowed. "They're after the energy crystals," he explained. "This land has rare minerals. They sell them to anyone with credits and no conscience." Lena's heart raced. She had seen energy crystals before in textbooks, small glowing shards used to power advanced engines. But she had never imagined them buried beneath Red Mesa, in danger of being stolen by outsiders. Kane dismounted and quickly began assessing the situation. "We can't let them take the crystals," he said. "If they escape with them, it could ruin the ranch and more." Lena followed his lead. She guided Ember closer, using the hover horse's quiet movement to avoid detection. She deployed small surveillance drones, sending them to hover over the poachers, transmitting real-time data back to her. Kane watched her silently, impressed. She had learned fast and acted without hesitation. One poacher noticed the hovering drone and shouted a warning. Lena ducked instinctively, sending a small flare from her wrist device to mislead them. The poachers turned toward the light, confused. Kane used the moment to move closer, hiding behind a cluster of rocks. Lena's mind raced. She had never been in a situation like this before. Real danger, alien criminals, energy weapons. But the lessons of the past days came back to her. Stay calm, think ahead, use the land, use the tools. She coordinated the drones to create distractions, guiding the poachers away from the crystals. Kane moved swiftly, using his cybernetic arm to disable one of the poachers' drones. The poachers panicked as their equipment malfunctioned, unsure of what was happening. Lena felt a rush of adrenaline, realizing that she was not just surviving, she was helping protect the ranch. After a tense hour, the poachers retreated, leaving behind damaged equipment and a few stolen crystals they had failed to collect. Kane surveyed the scene, then turned to Lena. "You did well," he said, his voice calm but firm. "You think fast under pressure, that's rare." Lena felt a mix of relief and pride. She had faced real danger and contributed. For the first time, she truly felt part of Red Mesa, part of the ranch, part of Kane's world. But the victory was short-lived. That evening, a small package arrived via galactic courier. Lena opened it carefully and found a letter from her sister. Her hands trembled as she read. The letter revealed the full truth. Her sister had intended to marry Kane herself, but a past betrayal had forced her to send Lena instead. Lena felt her chest tighten. She had known there was more to the story, but reading it in her sister's handwriting made it real. She had taken her sister's place, and now the deception was heavier than ever. She tried to hide the letter when Kane entered, but he noticed her hesitation. "Is that from your sister?" he asked, his tone neutral but his eyes sharp. Lena nodded. "Yes, she began, but Kane interrupted. "I know," he said. "You didn't tell me because you thought I wouldn't understand, but I do, and it makes this complicated." Lena's stomach sank. She feared his anger, but Kane's expression was unreadable. He walked past her, then turned back. "We still have work to do. The poachers might return, and now I need to trust you completely. No more secrets." "I understand," Lena said softly. That night, Lena struggled to sleep. The weight of the letter and the day's events pressed on her. She realized that Red Mesa was not just a physical challenge, it was emotional. Trust, honesty, courage, and skill were all necessary to survive. She had learned to ride, to manage drones, to protect the ranch, but she had yet to learn how to navigate human feelings, particularly Kane's. The next morning brought a new challenge. A neighboring ranch had sent word that a group of mercenaries was forming nearby, possibly allied with the poachers. Lena knew that the next few days could be critical. She joined Kane in planning defenses, setting up drone patrols, and reinforcing fences. Her mind worked quickly, organizing resources, predicting movements, and anticipating threats. Kane watched her, silent but approving. As they worked, Lena realized that her feelings for Kane were growing. Not romantic yet, but admiration, respect, and a desire to prove herself. Kane was stern and cautious, but she saw glimpses of something else, a man who valued courage, skill, and honesty. She wanted to earn his trust fully, even as the shadow of her sister's letter loomed over her. By late afternoon, the threat seemed to have passed for now. Lena and Kane took a break, sitting on a ridge overlooking the plains. The twin moons began to rise, casting a silver glow across the rocks. Silence stretched between them, comfortable in its own way. "You're learning fast," Kane said quietly. "Most newcomers would have frozen in today's situation. You didn't," Lena smiled faintly. "I want to belong here, I want to help, I want to survive, and maybe more." Kane's eyes softened, but only slightly. "Survival is the first step. Everything else comes later, remember that." The wind picked up, carrying the faint hum of distant drones. Lena looked out over the plains, thinking of the challenges ahead. She had faced storms, mercenaries, and poachers. She had faced fear, uncertainty, and the weight of her sister's secret. And yet she had survived. She had proven herself capable, resourceful, and brave. As the sun set fully, Lena felt a strange sense of peace. The life she had built on Red Mesa was far different from the simple existence promised in the letter, but it was real, and it was hers. She had taken a risk, faced danger, and learned lessons she never imagined. The twin moons reflected off Ember's sleek body, and Lena reached out to touch the hover horse's mane. The bond they had formed was more than utility. It was trust, companionship, and reliance. She realized that every part of her new life, the land, the animals, the ranch, Kane, was connected. Survival was not just about strength. It was about understanding the world and her place in it. As she prepared for the night, Lena tucked the letter safely into her bag. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more threats, and perhaps new discoveries about the land and the people around her. But she felt ready. She had proven herself to Kane, to herself, and to Red Mesa. And for the first time, Lena allowed herself to hope, not just for survival, but for belonging. Dawn broke over Red Mesa, painting the red cliffs and dusty plains in soft gold. Lena stretched, her body still sore from the past days of riding, storms, and defending the ranch. Yet she felt stronger, more confident. Red Mesa was no longer strange and alien, it was becoming her home. Kane approached, his cybernetic arm glinting in the morning light. "We've got trouble," he said. Lena's heart skipped a beat. Rangers from the north spotted a large group of poachers and mercenaries moving toward the ranch. "They have energy weapons and mining drones. We need to prepare." Lena nodded. She had faced danger before, but the thought of a full-scale attack made her stomach tighten. "What should I do?" she asked. Kane studied her, then spoke with quiet authority. "You'll help coordinate the drones, the cattle, the defenses, everything. I need you to stay calm and make smart decisions." Lena swallowed her fear. She had trained for this in small ways, guiding drones, riding hover horses, and thinking quickly under pressure. Now it was time to put it all together. They began organizing the ranch. Lena deployed drones to hover over key positions, watching the approach of the mercenaries. She directed robotic cattle to form natural barriers, creating paths that would funnel the attackers into safer zones. Kane checked the energy fences, adjusting settings to prevent sabotage. As the sun climbed higher, the first glimmer of movement appeared on the horizon. Dust rose where the enemy approached, their machines and weapons glinting in the sun. Lena felt a chill, but she forced herself to focus. Panic would only make mistakes. "Remember," Kane said, "we're defending more than land. This is our home, don't let them take it." The attack began mid-morning. Drones whirred overhead, firing warning pulses that forced the mercenaries to slow down. Lena guided Ember along the perimeter, moving swiftly between rocky outcrops to observe the enemy. She coordinated the drones and robotic cattle, creating confusion among the attackers. The mercenaries fired energy pulses, some of which struck near the cattle, startling them. Lena quickly adjusted the herding patterns, guiding the animals away from danger. Kane took down several attackers with precise shots from his rifle, moving strategically behind rocks for cover. Despite the chaos, Lena remained calm. She deployed a small decoy drone, drawing a portion of the enemy away. She signaled Kane, who silently acknowledged the plan. Step by step, they worked together, using knowledge of the terrain and the ranch's systems to defend their land. Hours passed in tense coordination. Dust and smoke filled the air as pulses and sparks flew across the plains. Lena's arms ached from operating drones, but she pushed through, focused on the task. She realized that this fight was not just physical. It required strategy, courage, and trust in each other. By late afternoon, the attackers began to retreat. Many of their machines were damaged, and the ranch's defenses had held strong. Lena and Kane surveyed the battlefield, noting the remnants of drones and energy pulses scattered across the plains. The ranch had survived. Kane approached Lena, his face stern but proud. "You did well," he said. "You coordinated the defenses and kept a clear head. That saved lives and this ranch." Lena felt a rush of relief and pride. "We did it together," she said softly. Kane's expression softened. "Yes, we did. You're learning fast. And you're proving yourself every day." As the sun dipped toward the horizon, Lena tended to Ember, brushing the hover horse's sleek mane. The bond between them had grown strong over the past days. Ember had been more than a tool. It was a companion, a partner in survival. Lena smiled faintly, feeling a sense of peace she had never known on Earth. That evening, Lena and Kane sat outside the ranch house. The twin moons rose again, casting a soft silver light over the plains. Lena reached into her bag and took out her sister's letter. Kane noticed but did not comment. She opened it quietly, reading the words once more. Her sister had meant well, but Lena realized that this life was no longer about anyone else. It was hers. She had faced storms, mercenaries, poachers, and the harsh alien frontier, and she had survived. More than that, she had grown stronger, smarter, and braver than she had ever imagined. Kane spoke quietly, breaking the silence. "You know," he said, "when you first arrived, I wasn't sure you'd last a week, but you've surprised me." Lena looked at him, her eyes softening. "I didn't know if I would survive either, but I wanted to try. I wanted to belong here." Kane studied her. For a moment, his usual guarded expression softened. "You do belong here. You've earned it. Not because of your sister, not because of a letter, but because of what you've done and who you are." Lena felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had feared rejection and anger, but Kane's words were a gift she hadn't expected. She realized that trust and respect were earned through action, not promises, and she had earned them. The next morning, life returned to a quieter rhythm. Lena and Kane checked the ranch's equipment, repaired damaged drones, and ensured that the robotic cattle were calm. The threat of further attacks remained, but the ranch was stronger now, and Lena felt capable. Over the following days, she learned more about the land. She discovered hidden water channels, small caves that could serve as shelters, and areas where alien plants could provide food and medicine. Kane allowed her to lead explorations, trusting her judgment and learning to rely on her instincts. One evening, as the twin moons rose once more, Lena stood on a ridge overlooking the plains. She felt the wind on her face, smelled the dust and the faint tang of ozone from the drones, and felt a deep connection to this land. This was not the life promised in a letter, simple and safe. This was real life, challenging, dangerous, and full of possibilities. She thought of her sister, of the letter, and of the choice she had made. Lena realized she had not only survived but thrived. She had built a life here with her own decisions, her own courage, and her own heart. Kane joined her silently, standing beside her. "The land is harsh," he said, "but it rewards those who are strong, smart, and brave. You've shown all three." Lena smiled, feeling the weight of his words. "I've learned from the best," she said. He glanced at her, a small hint of a smile on his lips. "And you've surprised me more than once. Keep it up." The two of them watched as the moons rose higher, silver light spilling across Red Mesa. Lena felt a sense of peace she had never known. She had taken her sister's place, yes, but she had built something greater than any letter could promise. A life of her own, full of adventure, courage, and belonging. The ranch hummed softly around them, drones flying in quiet patterns, hover horses grazing, and the wind carrying the scent of the red soil. Lena felt a deep connection to this world, to the people and creatures who lived here, and to the man who had once been a stranger but now trusted her. As night fell completely, Lena knew that challenges would come again. Red Mesa was unpredictable, full of dangers, storms, and enemies, but she was ready. She had proven herself capable, resourceful, and brave. She had faced fear and uncertainty and had come through stronger. And for the first time, Lena felt truly at home.